Welcome back to the Board Game Community Show. I'm your host, Riley Stock, and today I'm joined by Katie Allred from Knife Bunny Games. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Thanks so much for coming on. Well, back on, really.
Yes, yeah. We just did that one episode recently about persuasion.
Yeah. So if you go back a couple of episodes and you haven't heard it, it's one of my favorite episodes because the game is just so much fun. But we play Katie's game, Persuasion, which is like a Victorian age dating sim.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. And so we talk about, I had 7 other people. There were 8 total players, and we played it, and I just cut in clips of some of the action. And I really enjoyed that episode, and I enjoyed your game. That's the second time I played it, and I just love it so much.
Yeah, I was really flattered that you had the game on the show, and I thought it was really fun, and everybody had such kind things to say about it.
Yeah, I at one point, so I left it in where you were saying, I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed because everyone was giving you such kind responses to it, and I liked that. So I had to leave that in because I thought that was a fun response.
Well, thank you. It was I had such a good time with that.
We don't have to talk too much about persuasion. Go listen to that episode, people, and you'll get to know way more about it. Let's do the standard questions of how you got into board games.
I've been into designing games pretty much my whole life, but for a good chunk of it, I was just interested in like video games because I was like, video games are. This feels really silly to say like now, but I used to be like, video games are more accessible. You don't have to explain the rules to people. It's just like bang boom, you're in and you're playing the game and you're in the experience. But I've since like kind of come to accept that like video games are not as accessible as you might think they are. I'm getting a little sidetracked, but now I want to go on this tangent.
Go for it. Hey, tangent away.
Like in terms of like art forms, like video games, there are so many like pieces and components that have to be in place for you to experience it the way it was intended. Like you can't play the original Super Mario Bros. Like the way it was intended unless you happen to pull out that old NES because like the controllers are different, the like way it's emulated, the ability to save in the middle of it's different. Like the experience that you have today playing Super Mario Bros. Is different from the one you had like if you played it as a kid, as I did, showing my age a little. But whereas with board games, if you want to have like the experience that you have playing Monopoly now is pretty similar to the experience that you had like playing Monopoly as a kid. Like maybe they've like renovate like the pieces, stylized it a little bit differently, but it's the same like experience. But like not only that, but like not everybody has like computers. Like a Nintendo system is expensive, and so are the controllers and the maintenance and all that stuff. And even nowadays, it's like there's like updates and stuff for the consoles. Even like there's just like a lot of like moving parts with computer games. At some point, so like my sibling is like, and their friends are like really into board games, and like most of them play like heavy Euro type games. When most people talk about how they got into board games, I'm usually hearing stuff like, "I played Catan and my mind was blown," and like, but for me, I had been playing Ticket to Ride and Power Grid and all these kind of heavy games. And I was sort of like, whatever. So you got a lot of pieces, you got a lot of math. It's like I'm glad that's doing it for you, but this is just social time for my friends. But then like. Oh, one day my sibling brought out Root, and my mind was just blown with that game. I was like, wait, but there's so many different ways to play it, and there's like a story going on. If you're playing the raccoon, you're like Littlefinger and like a war between like these factions, and like, and I thought that was really compelling, and I started getting into it, and I'm like, there's like a lot of different strategies, there's a lot of different like emergent things going on. The way you use the cards like evokes like an image of what's going on in the universe. There's like a lot of storytelling potential there, and so I just kind of fell down that rabbit hole of like board games could be art, and board games could be really compelling art, and they, by their very nature, encourage a very social experience that you don't necessarily have with video games. There are some very good social video games like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, or what's that? Too many. It's not Overcooked. Overcooked's another good one. There are some good video games that encourage like very fun social interactions, but board games by their very nature are really push that. Like board games are compelling because of the social element for me, which is why I dislike Euro games so much.
Whoa!
Sorry.
I didn't know that. Wait, why don't you like Euro games?
Because I find the social element of Euro games to be very limited.
That's fair.
To me, Euro games are very much like who could do their math homework best. And like some people, like, that's cool. Like, that works for you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that it exists for you. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess.
No, that makes sense. I get that. Sometimes my wife gets mad because she's very impulsive when she plays games. And so a lot of times I end up winning, and sometimes I win by a lot. And I don't mean to, I have that whole gaming history, and, it's second nature to me. But at the same time, I like to think really hard and think a couple moves ahead. So Euro games work for me, and she likes playing Euro games, but she gets frustrated because she doesn't want to have to math out multiple turns ahead. She wants to just play her game by herself type thing with other people. I totally get it.
Yeah. What's weird is that I'm very good at the math and plotting turns out. So so we'll play the Euro games, and I'll tend to do really good. Like there's one, like when I play with my group of friends, there's like a joke that you like kick their butts at every board game. But
humble brag.
It'll just be this really funny thing of like, I'm just really good at board games, everybody. But like, it'll be this funny joke where we'll play a board game, and then I'll win. I'll be like, "That was awesome! I hate it."
So, what is your type of game? What's your favorite?
So I have like a very strange spread of games that I really like. I like games like PAX Premier. I like games like Oath and Root, but I also really love modern art. Modern art's one of my favorite games. I really like High Society. I like Poetry for Neanderthals. I have this like spread of like party games and really complicated like war games.
That's a good spread. Yeah, it's a good variety. I think that's important, though. Variety is important. Even if you don't like Euros, it doesn't hurt to occasionally play them. It can be fun.
Yeah.
And you can be good at it and trash your friends.
Yeah, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I think Euros are a fine thing, a fine like,
no, you heard it here first. Katie hates Euros. She thinks they're all garbage. Bring it on.
They don't do it for me. But yeah, I think like games like Cosmic Encounter and Root, like they have like this very fun interplay of like this like king making sort of element, which some people think is like a bad thing, but I think those games lean into it in an interesting way of like I think half of like who wins in Root is who convinces the other people that the other players are the real threats.
I could see that.
Yeah. And in Euros, there's not as many opportunities to like screw over somebody, I guess. What I really like is the ability to just wreck my friends, I guess.
And this totally makes sense because when we were playing Persuasion, the second time I was playing it, I still hadn't realized that I could totally bluff and lie to people if I wanted to and try and make myself look like a more attractive suitor. And I didn't until you did it. And all of a sudden it dawned, and I just realized I've been playing this wrong. I totally could have been, insinuating that I had more roses than I did and trying to lure somebody in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can see why you like that type of thing, and it reflects in at least the one game I've played, its design.
I like games that sort of facilitate that space of like, do you trust me? Not in like an overt like. While I do enjoy games like One Night Werewolf, while I do enjoy games like that, I think there's like those games lean a little bit too much on like the social, like smooth talking ability of people. But I like games that have like this space of like I could be working together with you, or this could be a prisoner's dilemma situation where I'm trying to like backstab you to ensure for certain that I win.
Yeah. I thought that was a really cool thing that came up while we were playing too, was, David plays werewolf with survivor contestants. And he was like, I like this more because there's a perception you bring into those types of party games of people, no matter what you do, if you're a good board gamer and a smooth talker, people are automatically going to distrust you and be like, nope, you're a werewolf. No matter what you do, you can't convince me otherwise because of the way you play games. And I know.
Yeah, I had like, I'm sorry, I had this, it just reminded me of this really funny experience I had playing Cosmic Encounter. And I'm not sure if you played that game before, but every time you have an encounter with somebody, you and the opponent play like these cards of these encounter cards, and most of the cards have like a number, and that determines how strong of a force you're going in with. But there are also these negotiation cards, and if both of you play a negotiation card, you both have like the ability to like negotiate some exchange, and usually it's a mutually beneficial thing because you both essentially get a point out of it. But if one player plays a negotiation and the other plays a combat, it's just a guaranteed victory for the player playing the combat card. And there's like some compensation, so there's some strategical reasons why you might negotiate when somebody's combating you. But for the most part, like in my group, we had like this sort of unspoken thing of like, whenever we go in and we're like, you want to just negotiate instead? And I'm like, yeah, let's just negotiate. And then we like play those negotiation cards. But one time I was like, my friend was like, you want to negotiate? And I had like no negotiation cards. And I was like, yes, let's negotiate. And I backstabbed them. And then later on in the game, I had negotiation cards. I was like, look, for real this time.
Creates a good, memorable moment.
Yeah.
Fond memories.
Yeah. I know I just backstabbed you like 5 minutes ago, but look, trust me.
Did they do it?
They did, and we both negotiated.
Oh, that is wonderful. If you had to choose one game or 3, but if you can choose one, what would it be as your favorite?
Oath for sure.
Okay.
Oath is like my favorite. I think it might have been on your show, but I remember hearing on a show like Oath is a hard game because you have to have like the same group coming to it every time, but it's a legacy like game, but you don't have to have the same group showing up every time. Like I just wanted to clarify that. You could have it tells a better story when you have the same people showing up, because it's sort of like, oh, this player won and now they're the chancellor and this is the kingdom that they formed and stuff like that. And they formed an alliance with this player that session, but it's very easy to just like have somebody new come in or have somebody drop out and come back in later. And but that game tells such amazing stories with like essentially no flavor text. The flavor text is just the names of the cards and how their abilities interlock. My God, there's there's something really beautiful about that game that I just love. It's been like Cole Worley's work in general has been like a huge inspiration to like my design processes.
That's one I really, really want to play, but I can never justify buying it because I know I would never get it to the table. And I hear that really the 1 and 2 player games are mediocre, but 3 and up, or 3 and 4, I think is where it shines, is what I've heard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that game is very weak as a 1-player game. I have some recordings of me playing it 1-player, and it is definitely not as great or compelling experience. Yeah, I do.
Are they out there? Can we watch them?
Yeah, they're on YouTube. I should warn you that this was like before I started like integrating with the board game community, so like I hadn't gotten like my swearing under control yet. So I swear like a sailor does videos.
Oh, naughty. I mean, to be honest, I swear quite a bit. Like I swear like a sailor off the air. So hey, no judgment.
Yeah. Like I went through a long period where I was like no swearing, and then I went into a period of like actually heck yeah swearing. And then I started getting part of the board game community, and it's like, oh, understandably they're not really into that.
Yeah. I started taking a improv class recently, and last week I went to it and we had to give like a monologue, an improv monologue up on stage by ourselves. Well, that's obviously what a monologue is. That was weird. And so I went up there and they gave me my topic, and I started like I came on just with high energy as if I was like doing a convention. I was the first one of the night, and I started going and I cursed a little bit. And then later I realized that she had recorded me, the instructor had recorded me. And then the next day she posted it online, and I was like, oh no. Oh gosh, my family's going to hear me cursing up a storm here. And luckily she had edited it out. Like she edited out the swearing.
Nice.
Should I leave that part in the podcast? I don't know. Well, fam, if you're listening to that, you know. Anyways. But yeah, it really is. It's kind of an interesting thing. The majority of board game content creators don't curse in their stuff. I mean, occasional podcasts, occasional YouTubers will. And I guess, do you think it's because it's a family hobby?
I think so. I think it's because there's this perception that games is like a medium for like the whole family, including kids, and that there has to be some level of like family friendliness in that, like when you create something for others to ingest. And I think for the most part, that's like a good way to look at it. You want your stuff to be accessible, and to some families, they're really sensitive about it, and people have their reasons, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's from my perspective, why I don't curse on the show is just for an accessibility thing. You know, people who like cursing aren't going to be necessarily turned off by us not cursing.
Yeah, exactly.
But people who are offended by it are going to be like, oh, that's a no, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Heck no.
And, you know, it's a lot harder to do this like verbally, but I've been getting into the habit of like whenever I feel myself compelled to like swear in like a text message or a tweet or something, I'll try to come up with like some like alternative, and I'll try to get creative about it. And I find that that's a lot more like rewarding and fun when you're like wet socks full of sand, like.
That's awesome. Well, I actually really like that. And when I'm doing creative stuff, I usually try not to swear anyways, because Mitch Horowitz, who was the writer for Arrested Development, he said it was really fun working on Arrested Development, and you try and you can't swear, right? You can't swear on
what is that, network TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said we would have to come up with creative ways around that. And so you come up with these really funny moments that were purely like, they could have easily just thrown in a swear word if they were on cable, but because they couldn't use that, they had to be creative and come up with something alternatively. And I really appreciated that. And kind of looking at other shows that do the same type of thing, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I mean, you can, sometimes they just substitute it, right? Like Battlestar Galactica just says frack.
Yeah.
Which works. That's, that's a good way to do it. But I like when you do the creative.
Yeah. There's like, forming like a new language of like this frack that, and like this boots, like that's like fine, but it loses its charm quickly, I feel like.
It does. Anyways, side stuff, tangents, love it. I can see behind you multiple bunny statues, like above.
Oh. Yeah. I've actually got my childhood stuffed animal up there.
Oh, nice. Is there only one bunny thing? I thought I saw 2 or 3 things.
There's a couple. There's a couple bunnies up there. I've got Pusheen with a top hat.
Is it a bunny Pusheen?
No, it's just a cat.
The
Pusheen.
cat. Okay.
Like right up here.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought that was a bunny too. I thought it was like a chubby bunny huddled up, but I couldn't see very clearly. I got my wife a Pusheen, and she absolutely loves it.
Yeah,
they're so soft.
Yeah, they're so squishy.
Yeah. I was wondering if Knife Bunny. I guess, how did you come up with Knife Bunny for your name?
So, I am really into the cute stabby aesthetic, that like fluffy, cute, or like, but just like slightly menacing kind of aesthetic. And I can't remember how I was thinking about it. I was like a bunny with a knife sounds like a fun thing. I wonder if that domain is free. Oh, it is. Okay, well, that's gonna be mine now.
That's a great way to come about it.
Yeah. Is that domain free? That means like nobody else is committed to it.
Well, let's talk about some of the games you're designing. We've got Persuasion, check.
Mm-hmm. I've got like a few now, and they are all deduction games.
You've got the thing you're good at. It's great.
Yeah. I think the only they all have some element of like deduction going on, but funnily, I have one that's where you're playing as a detective and one player's playing as like a conspirator. And that one is funnily probably the least deduction-y of all of them.
Oh, interesting. I thought that one looked really, really interesting.
Yeah, that one's a lot more like a logic puzzle than it is like a deduction game. At higher player counts, there's a deduction element because one player is playing as a saboteur trying to throw off the investigation. But like for the most part, the core game is like more along the lines of like Mastermind, like one player's creating a puzzle and the others have to figure it out, and it's a lot of like logic, like if this is true, this is false kind of stuff.
What's that one called?
That one's called Unraveled.
Oh, that's right.
And the inspiration of that was those what's it called? Those like string theory like conspiracy maps.
Yeah,
I wanted to make a game that captured that.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's what
I've
it
got
was.
one right here.
A red yarn or a conspiracy map.
I made this.
Oh, that is awesome. There's for listeners, obviously you can't see. She's got like a poster board with newspaper clippings and yarn or string tied together from clipping to clipping.
Yeah. I made that.
Is there actually a conspiracy in there?
No. I just clipped like all the things that look like they might look that somebody might form a connection between them and like string them all together. But like I am really bad at art. So whenever I have to make assets or anything, usually what I'll just do is I'll make something physical and take a photograph of it and use that.
Oh, I love it.
That's what that was about.
That's clever. Have you seen? Do you watch Community? I mean, back in the day, I guess.
A little bit, yeah.
One of my favorite things in season 3, Chang becomes like the school security, and he ends up doing a whole conspiracy board and does the whole like detective inner monologue. It's one of my absolute favorite episodes.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm totally into that. Anyway, rambling, tangents. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What other games you got?
I've got like 3 other games, and none of them are like published. I've got Opacity. Opacity is not really a deduction game. Opacity is this legacy trick-taking game where you're owls trying to like increase representation for your particular owls that's using like a standard deck of cards. And the idea is that diamonds start out overrepresented and all the suits are like struggling and have to kind of work together in order to like in order to get their representation into parliament, which is what you call a group of owls, which is like amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, clever.
Yeah. And then another game I have is called Conviction. I was designing that for this contest for nonviolent games about power and control in relationships. And so that's a game where you and your partner are having a quarrel over some relationship ending subject, and you have to get. And so the game has 2 suits. One suit is your own, and the other suit is your partner's. And your goal of the game is to get your cards of your suit into your player's deck. And so it's about getting into your partner's head. So I've been joking about packaging that with persuasion and being like, after you win, play this game with the person you married.
Whoa, that would be
fun. Yeah. Yeah. And,
you can have a relay of games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a whole like theme of games. And then the last game, I just recently got to a playtestable state, so it's still very early concept, but I made it for the board game Break My Game community game jam contest. And it's a game where you're time travelers trying to modify the timeline within a 7-minute window so that your ideology is predominant.
Oh, that's pretty clever. How's that one go?
So in that one, each player is in like a different epoch, and you can only travel to and from these epochs. So you can't like travel back in time 5 minutes and fix something. You can only travel back in time like 2 centuries and change something then. And so each player is in a different epoch, and every time a player in an earlier epoch takes an action, everybody in a later epoch gets a chance to like change the events that are tied to them. There's a little bit of this. Every player has like different goals for what they want in the timeline, and they don't necessarily conflict. So like somebody might be like, I think the timeline is most in favor of me, and their player is like, I think it's most in favor of me, but they won't know until they've revealed their cards at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's another game where multiple people can win. I think all my games are semi-cooperative except for Unraveled.
That's really cool. I like that concept of. I didn't think I would like it. We talked about that on the episode, and I loved it because I wanted to hear what other people's experiences were with the game and how they ended up. That sounds like something similar with that, where you could have some really cool stories happen.
Yeah. There's very little in life that is like a zero-sum sort of conflict, or the only way for me to get what I want is for you to not get what you want. So I feel like more games should reflect that. I think there's a lot of conflicts that we have in our real lives that don't necessarily have to end with one person losing, or with necessarily lots of people winning. I like games where everybody could win and everybody could lose.
Yeah. I think that's good. That represents life. More of our day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to backstab people and be the only winner, hey, that happens too.
Yeah. See how long your friendship lasts when you keep doing that.
I actually had a thought on this the other day where you could betray people or help people, but in the game mechanic, you have like trust icons or trust meters, and you can only do stuff like you could only play certain cards with another player if they trust you so much. But if they distrust you, then you could play different cards. And so like there's kind of benefits and disadvantages to having people's trust and distrust. I wanted to play with that kind of game design.
Yeah, I'm all about, like, I was joking with my sibling like a week or two ago that like half of my games, the core mechanic is make yourself vulnerable to other players. Which is like the core mechanic of persuasion and conviction, and to a lesser extent Unraveled. All those games are about like giving power to other players.
It totally is. I can't do anything with my abilities. I have to pass it on to somebody else and be at their mercy.
Mm-hmm.
How vulnerable should I be to Katie? Is she going to screw me over?
Yeah. It ended up working out well for Tim that game, but Tim could have got really screwed over.
Yeah, he could have been very unhappy. Hey, it worked out for Phil, so hey, no worries. Oh, good times. Oh, where can people find your games?
Yeah, like I link all of my stuff on my website, knifebunny.com. It's a little janky, but like it links to my Twitter, which is where I'm most vocal about stuff. It links to my games that are all over the place, but mostly on Steam. Like they're all playable on Tabletop Simulator, so I have them all there. So yeah, my website's where you can find my stuff. knifebunny.com.
And I think it's a cute website. It's kind of got that old school Game Boy or SNES style to it.
Yeah,
or NES, either one.
I was like, I thought it would be fun to make it look like one of those dating simulators.
Or that's what I was thinking.
Appears. Yeah. I was like thinking for a while I wanted there to be like a meta game on it where you could like enter into like a dialogue tree with me, but then I was like, this is too much work. I just need a landing page.
I almost felt like it was gonna go there when I first thought of it. I was like, what is this? Okay. Oh my
Maybe
goodness. Later. That would be fun. Yeah, when you got more time, that'll never happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you're good with it, we talked about talking about a specific thing this episode, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
When I was promoting the persuasion episode, I just referred to you as she. And that's how I try to refute. That's how I try to refer to all trans. I just refer to them as what they identify as, what they are. You're a woman. You're not a trans woman to me. You're just a woman.
Right.
And then I got thinking and worried, am I hurting representation by not saying Katie, this amazing trans mom that just is kicking butt at life? Was I hurting representation? And so I reached out on Twitter and we talked about that. But let's pretend I didn't and hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I totally think that's the right way to go about it generally. Just treat trans people like the gender they identify as. Like that's who they are. And you don't necessarily want to include the fact that they're trans because you don't know if they want to be, you don't know if they're out and if they feel safe being out and such like that. And not everybody is as privileged and has that luxury. I have that luxury, and so I try to be as loud about it as possible. I try to be very, because the only reason I was able to realize that I was trans was because I witnessed other people living their life visibly trans. And so by being out there, it helps people see, like, oh, you could be trans and live a happy, healthy, normal life and not just be the butt of jokes or the victim of violence. You could just be a normal, happy person.
It is possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
I'm glad to hear that. And the last thing I want to do is hurt representation. Obviously, I think the Mick and Starla episode, you and I sort of talked about that for just a sec, but I brought up something and I was well-meaning, but it came off a little ignorant. And I'm glad that they corrected me and they addressed that very well. And it's one of those moments where it's like, oh, shoot, yeah, I need to be careful the way I say certain things because I didn't think that way, but it comes off that way. As I thought more about, like, how do you reach people of color? How do you reach more trans people? How do you reach these types of people? How do you get those type of people in our community, in our board game community? And today it dawned on me, like, because we're setting this up and getting ready to do this interview, and I was like, oh, man, how many trans folks would be so excited to play a game by a trans designer? So, like, being a designer that's openly trans and loud and proud about it could draw in more trans people. Being a black designer and being loud and proud and like showing your game out there and showing that you can do that, that's going to draw more people of color into the hobby. And not only that, but showing that it can be a safe space.
Yeah. I think it's so important to just get more diverse people out there. And what's important is that it's not just like depictions of like minorities and like such people, but that you also have like designers and people who are in the creative process that are involved in like that representation. Because too often it's like you end up having like some like white neurotypical like hetero people representing these like people who are underrepresented, and they end up just misrepresenting them or simplifying their issues or vilifying them. And like, so it really helps to have like more like those people who are just telling their own stories and sharing their own perspectives and their own experiences. And so, yeah, to me, it's very important. And I'm in a position of privilege where I can be safely like very loud about being ADHD and trans and whatever. And so I am. Yeah, for exactly what you said. Like, the more people that could see, like, oh, hey, you can be a successful, like, or at least have your stuff together. I don't know. I mean, we're saying that I'm successful. I haven't published anything, but I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right, I think.
You're doing it.
Yeah, I'm getting back. But like, yeah, it's such an uphill battle because, yeah, like publishers don't really think those stories will sell, or they like it seems like, I don't know, it's hard because like my perspective is only my own, so I don't know exactly what's going on in like publishers' heads, but it feels like we get the same stories retold over and over again and the same perspectives shared over and over again. So yeah, it's kind of an uphill battle, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that in the not too distant future that it's just a very openly accepted thing. It's a definitely an interesting thing because
growing up, I had no I didn't know anybody trans. And
Yeah.
for years and years, and I think that was normal to just, so it's a newer concept for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's that's what blows my mind about it. Like, trans people have been around like forever, and I was like talking to my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I back when I was like doing like I forgot what kind of work, but doing like social services kind of work. Like, I worked with some trans people, and there's a part of me that was like, you worked with trans people and you didn't tell me about it." I was like, she didn't know that I was like trans or anything. Like,
Yeah.
she just thought that I was like kind of an odd kid. Like, but I don't know. There's some like people don't feel safe being open about it. Like, it's really funny story because like I have like this group that I play like RPGs with, and they're the coolest people. And and then shortly after I realized I was trans, I like came out to them, and then like within weeks of that, I was like, wait, you're trans too? And you're gender fluid? And you're agender? How come none of you told me?
That's awesome. So you had a supportive community right away.
Yeah, right away. I had a very supportive community. I thought that group went from being like all straight het to like all queer real fast.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Do you want to tell us a little about your story, your journey?
Yeah, sure. So like I don't know. Where do I start? So like I only realized I was trans like maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, about God, was it 2 years ago? Ah, oh, geez, the ADHD. I can't remember. It was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I can't remember. But like it wasn't that long. Oh no, it was 2 years ago because it was just before the pandemic hit. Like it was just before the pandemic hit. Like I had like I'd been out for like maybe like 4 or 5 months, and I was like, oh, so this is why I'm such a recluse. Like, this is why like I had so much trouble socializing with people. I can't wait to go out there. Oh, I can't. Like, oh, thanks world for shutting down everything right when I was ready to get out of my shell. It worked out. It gave me some time to like transition and stuff because like during the first year or so of your transition, it's like real rough because you're kind of in that uncanny valley where like your body hasn't like changed that much, and so people I don't know, I still get funny looks. Like it's different for everybody. I don't get as many funny looks now as I used to back then, but like back then it was real rough.
Oh no.
Yeah. But so it was kind of a little bit of a blessing. I had like a whole year of being like stuck at home while my body like changed with hormone therapy, and yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Have you had any problems I guess even in the community? Has anyone ever like attacked you about it? This is an uncomfortable thing to talk about. So if you don't want to, that's okay.
Oh no. Actually the community has been like really amazing. I've like God, like I feel like this is another part of the story. Like we hear so many bad stories of like people coming out and then getting rejected from their families and stuff like that I don't know, you kind of come to expect that's what's going to happen when you come out at work or when you come out to your family. But like when I came out to my family, it was like nothing but incredibly supportive, like love. Like I came out to my family like a month before Christmas, and I was not dead named or misgendered once at like when we went to like the family gathering. It was like the sweetest lovely. Like thing. Yeah, it was so lovely. And I came out to work, and I was like sort of expecting backlash. I was like covertly like talking to HR about the best way to do it, and I like finally came out to everybody at work, and everybody was just really cool about it. Everybody was just like I think there was maybe like a couple times when somebody accidentally like dead named me, but like for the most part they're very cool, and now they've got like a very like active LGBT initiative going on. It's like
That's cool.
It's like, wow, okay, cool. So actually just love then.
Well, this
And
is
then the
easy.
same-
What's everyone else's problem? No. No.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's rough because like because before I like came out to my family and stuff, I started becoming part of like some online communities, and there are so many heartbreaking stories out there. There are so many heartbreaking stories of people like getting disowned from family or getting laid off from work for like very clearly transphobic reasons, even though it's supposed to be protected. Like,
yeah,
it is so heartbreaking. But like, I think it's just some combination of me being in California and just being like real lucky. But I mean, the board game community space has been like really accepting. I was like surprised how many communities I joined where putting pronouns in your profile was like standard procedure. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I didn't realize it was such an like accepting space.
yeah.
It wasn't always like that, but somehow, somewhere, it became kind of common practice. And I think there was like one time that somebody had weaseled into like a space and said some really transphobic nonsense, and they were banned so fast.
That's a relief.
Yeah. So,
well,
yes.
I'm glad to hear it. It sounds like a lot of progress has been made so that it isn't. I mean, I'm sure you were you scared when you were coming out at all of these different places?
Oh, yeah. I was out before I joined the board game community.
Uh-huh.
So by that point, I was already emboldened from my positive experiences with like work and family. I mean, not to say that I never had any bad experiences. I still have like the weird off-cuff experience on the street or random people, or God, the chasers online.
Yeah, I saw a post today about that.
Yeah, it's like to some people, like dating has been impossible. It's just been like such a frustrating experience trying to date.
I mean, if you don't mind, I would love to ask more about that. What has that been like? What problems have you run into?
I don't mind sharing, but it might get a little hairy. But like,
all right, you've all been warned.
Yeah, you've been warned. It's going to get hairy.
Language-wise, it's PG, but content-wise.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I like the more people I talk to, the more it sounds like this is just a general like woman experience, not necessarily a trans one. But there are just so many there are just so many men that seem that just reduce you to like a porn category, I like Asians. It's like like I like trans people. It's like I just want to be accepted for me. I don't want like how do I put this? It's like I want to date somebody and them not be interested in me because I'm trans. It's just that it's just the thing that's there and that they don't care about. Yeah. But it feels like 90% of the time when I go on a date with somebody, they're like a little too into the fact that I'm trans.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's what's been frustrating. It's like I'm not looking for some overtly sexual thing. I just want like a regular, like romantic, like relationship. But everybody seems to think that being trans is like inherently sexual or something.
Yeah, that is interesting. And talking to my wife, we met online dating. And so we'll talk about past experiences, and it's like, most of hers are like guys sending me junk pics or guys trying to get me to send nudes pretty darn quick before we've even met or anything like that. And
yeah.
And so it's pretty universal that guys just suck.
Yeah. It's real rough being attracted to masculine energy.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of men that are just like want to go straight into the sex stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that you put masculine energy. So I don't think I've ever talked to anyone more than my wife about this type of thing, but I like they, and I almost wish that everyone was they. Like I don't really care. I guess I did talk to some other friends about it, and I was like, I like the pronoun they, and if people wanted to call me they, that'd be great, but I also wouldn't be offended if people call me he or she or it. I don't care. But they were like, well, that's because you're a white male, and so you have that white male privilege where like your gender, your race doesn't affect anything. I'm part Native American, but nobody could tell. Like I have the slightest reddish hue that you could not tell that I'm Native, at all. Anyways, I just think that would be such a cool world to just be attracted to who you're attracted to dress the way you want to dress, to be the way you want to be. Like I do very feminine things. I flirt with guys. I flirt with girls. It's just a fun human. I'm just human. And so gender doesn't necessarily play a part of that. But at the same time, like I definitely value the diversity and value having differences between everyone. So mine's a very robotic, logical way to look at it, where like if I was a robot and this is the way it is, you are all human, nothing else matters, like it'd be a terrible way to live.
But like I totally get where you're coming from, because I was like really like part of my transition, I was like really confused about my sexuality, because like I don't know, how do I explain this? There's a lot of like things about like there's a lot of feelings that they don't really like explain to you in school. Like I was feeling like these emotions towards women like for most of my life, and I was just like, this must be attraction. I must just be attracted to women. And then it was only like within the past couple years I realized, oh, this is gender envy. I'm just envious of these women and their bodies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so like partway through my transition, I was like for the early part of my transition, I was like, so I guess this makes me a lesbian. I guess I'm a lesbian woman. Like, and I'm like, okay. And a lot of people give you weird like looks for that. It's like there's this weird heteronormative expectation that when you transition, that you're also going to like the straight will carry with you, like. Yeah, I don't know how else to put it. Like, they're like, hold on, you're going to be a woman lesbian? Just what? That sounds like being like straight with weird steps. Like, it's like no, no, I'm a woman, and there are a lot of trans women that are attracted to women, and like, it's a very like common thing that I see, and. And there's like nothing wrong with that. Like you just identify as a woman and you're attracted to women. That's cool.
Right. Like your identity and your sexuality are two different things.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They're like conflated so much in our culture that people get like really confused, and they're conflated so much that I was confused, that I went through a period during my transition where I was like starting to notice like men. I was like, am I attracted to men? When did this happen? Am I being compulsorily the words? Am I feeling compelled to be heteronormative too? Like what's going on here? And like, I'm only recently coming to terms with the fact that I'm just pan and I'm attracted to masculine energy. Like that's just the easiest way to put it for myself. And so like I've like almost exclusively been dating non-binary people just because I've had so many bad experiences with cis men.
Fair.
Yeah.
You
I forgot where I was going with this.
Well, I appreciate you being so open and being willing to talk about it. I hope that the listeners appreciate this, as awkward as you and I might get occasionally, because it's weird somewhat to openly talk and discuss it sometimes.
Yeah. People don't really talk about this kind of stuff. I remember what I wanted to say. when you like, I think part of transitioning is being like none of this gender stuff makes any gosh darn sense. How are we like just grouping people up and being like, you got to be attracted to these people when it doesn't make any sense. And so like some part of that process is just like what was this gay, straight, just like you're just attracted to whoever, okay?
Just accept it. Let's not overcomplicate this.
Yeah. Why does it have to be like a part of your identity? Are you attracted to this person or not? That doesn't mean you're gay in that moment, or that you're straight in that moment, or you're just who you are and you're attracted to whoever you're attracted to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, and I kind of, to the extreme, I think gender to an extent is fluid. I think we all kind of have, that's a lot more solid than sexuality. Like, sexuality is definitely fluid.
Yeah, but like even gender is very fluid. The last person that I seriously dated was gender fluid, and they would go through like periods of feeling very masculine, periods of feeling very feminine.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I actually had a question about that, and I was saving this question for this, even though now you're not dating Zay.
Yeah.
But what is, because you would say my Zay friend?
My Zoe friend.
Yeah. That's what it was. So what is this? This is a pronoun I haven't heard before. And I tried looking it up, and literally Google was useless. So everyone, I did my due diligence. I did the Google, and I couldn't find anything. So now I'm going to the source.
Yeah. So like I have heard of Z-Zim pronouns. They call them neopronouns. And there's a Z-Zim spelled with X's, and there's a Z-Zim spelled with Z's, and like basically all that's happening is that there's a distinct lack of like non-gendered language, and so sometimes you just gotta make it up. Like we were talking about it, we're like what do I call you? Do I call you my partner? And it's like, that sounds so stuffy. How about you just call me your Zoe friend? And I was like, I love that. I'm just calling you my Zoe friend now. And people are just going to have to figure it out through context clues.
Okay, cool. So that's why when I Googled it, I didn't really get anything.
Yeah, because that is my unique word, our unique word that we created for our situation, because because partner didn't quite fit the bill, and there wasn't our gender neutral term for it.
That makes me so happy, because I was thinking, I'm just an old man, I guess, you know, what's with these Z's and Zo's and you know. I wasn't grumpy about it. I was very genuinely curious about it. Curious enough to actually Google it.
Yeah, like this is a struggle that I have with my sibling a lot, because my siblings say gender, and so like we're like constantly struggling with like, what should I have my daughter call you? Like, what's the gender neutral version of uncle and aunt? And like we settled on Pibble, because we had heard the term nibble for like gender neutral niece and nephew.
Yeah.
And Pibble would be like the parent version of that. But like, it's like a constant struggle of stuff like that. It's like, what's the gender neutral version of this? Like, when I broke up with my when I broke up with my Zoyfriend, my ex-Zoyfriend, like I was like, I'm so mad at them right now, but it's even more frustrating that I can't think of the gender neutral version of the words I want to use.
Also, using they and them is such a fun thing to say that it would be like, oh, they are such a pain in the butt. You know, they. It sounds like you're having fun doing it.
Oh, Z makes me so mad sometimes.
Are you doing better now? You're getting out there?
I'm getting there. I'm taking a break from the whole dating thing.
That's totally fair.
Just it's just so frustrating. I just need a break from it. I think like it was funny because like this all happened in the middle of me working on my game about having a fight with your partner. So I'm in the middle of making this game where one of the end states is you break up, and of course in the middle of working on this game I break up.
Oh no! You need like, to experience it.
Yeah. This is my joke is that making games is how I deal with trauma. But like the deadline on that was so tight that it wasn't until I finished that I hit that deadline like this past weekend that I was like, oh, all the feelings from the breakup are hitting me now. All the sadness, all the loneliness, all that grief is hitting me all at this moment.
Dang. Of course, you got to keep yourself busy.
Yeah, you gotta keep yourself on your toes. That's one way of avoiding dealing with like your past trauma is just keep yourself busy.
You can just cope your whole way through it.
Yeah,
never deal with it.
Yeah, just keep coping. Just keep.
This got brought up a while ago, and I forgot to touch on that. But dead naming is when you use somebody's name from before they transitioned. So
right, yeah.
Just figured there's listeners who probably don't know that term.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you have something to say about it?
Yeah. I guess I do. Like when I first like came out, I was like, why do they call it a dead name? Like there's like history attached to it. And then like, I don't know, like a month or two down the line, I'm like, oh, this is why, because it resurfaces a lot of trauma every time you hear it. That name is dead to me. Don't ever use it, please.
Yeah. So never ask a trans person their dead name. You don't need to know.
Yeah, it's rude. Don't do it.
Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to touch on that before I forgot. Well, is there anything else trans-wise, a message out there or something for people who might be in the closet still? And
yeah, just hang in there and explore. I think something that I wish I knew early on is that like none of this has to be like a hard commitment. Like even hormone even HRT hormone like therapy, like that stuff isn't like permanent until like you've been on it for a long time. So you could like try it for a month and be like, oh, you know what, this is gross, I don't like it. and even more so with just things like clothes and pronouns and stuff. Like somebody would like, I went to like a trans support group and was like I don't like this was like early on. And I was like, I don't know, am I really trans or is this just on my head? And they're like, why don't you just try them? Just try on the pronouns. That it's not like you have to like write it on your like birth certificate right now to try it out. Just give it a try, see how it feels. And I was like, okay, and like it immediately felt so freaking good. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm probably trans. So just like experiment. And like sometimes that could be hard because maybe you don't have like a supportive environment, but there's a lot of spaces online where you could be safe to explore your identity. And if you could just try that, if you're questioning, if you're just not sure, just try it. Like There's no harm in exploring and figuring out your identity. And if it turns out you're cis, more power to you. The world's catered towards you. just have that confidence of like, I tried it. It wasn't for me.
We're all trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah. And like I like to keep my DMs and stuff open if you want to ask me questions and stuff. Like I try to be open. So yeah, just don't hit on me out of the gate, okay? I'm starting to have trauma around that.
I always try. I get in trouble, I guess, sometimes. I always assume the best of people. And so sometimes people will come to, or I'll say something and somebody will respond to it. And I think that they're trying to have like a good faith argument. And they are not. And it happens more often than not where I say something and then they come back with something. And I'm like, oh, well, here's why I think that doesn't work or something like that. And then they'll either not respond or just like double down on it and call me stupid or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're strangers on the internet. But please don't go into it with like, I don't know if you call bad faith the other way, but like, if you're going to reach out to somebody and talk to somebody, be open to all sides of it if you don't understand it and you're genuinely trying to understand it. Don't be a jerk.
And like, and it's real easy to block somebody. So like, and I've gotten pretty good at figuring out when people come in with bad faith arguments. So like, like I'm not afraid of shutting down the conversation, but I do keep my DMs open because sometimes people are just like I don't know what's going on, and just having somebody there for you during that moment, I think could be a big deal sometimes. And so if you've got gender questions for me, I'm more than open to talk about it. Just don't jump into my DMs calling me beautiful. Like I've had way too many of those, and they're always end badly.
That's fair. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that you don't do that to anybody. I don't know. Like, why? I don't know. I guess I've been out of the dating world for too long.
I feel bad because like somebody being like, I think you're attractive shouldn't necessarily be grounds for like yeah. But like a certain point, you've just been burned so many times. Like maybe this person just genuinely thinks I'm attractive and is reaching out for help. No, they want pics. I'm
so glad that I'm some ugly, misshapen person that doesn't get hit on. So, maybe try that.
I hadn't considered that. I think it's just a woman thing. I think it's just like a femme energy thing because you're a very attractive person, and I think maybe if you're just presenting more femme, maybe people feel more emboldened to like harass you too.
Yeah. I wonder how many actual relationships have stemmed from someone being like sliding into the DMs and being like, "Hey, girl, you hot? What's up? Look at my six pack."
This is how our relationship started. He stayed to my DMs. He sent me a dick pic, and then I was like, "This is the one."
Happily ever after. Well, is there anything else you want to touch on before we move on?
No, that's it. I wish more people felt like safe exploring, and I wish people gave people space to explore too. I guess be supportive of people who are exploring.
Yeah.
Try to have an open mind.
Yeah. It's not hard to be respectful of people's wishes.
Yeah.
So, well,
Now we'll dive back into normal conversation. So boring. What do you do outside of board games?
Oh God, I've been dreading this question.
Well, you play video games, right? We know that.
Yeah, I do. I play a little bit of video games. Every once in a while, Lucas Pope or Toby Fox will make a video game, and I will play. It feels like those are the.
I don't know who those are.
Okay. Oh, you don't know who Toby Fox is? So, do you know Undertale?
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank. I know the name, and I even have like an image in my head, but it's not like fully formed.
Like Sans and Papyrus, or yeah. So like, Toby Fox is the person.
Are you talking about trans? Are you talking about font?
Yeah, actually, they're characters that are inspired by fonts.
Okay,
but like, Undertale is like a game. It's like it's heavily inspired by like RPGs like Earthbound.
Oh, okay.
And it's designed so that you don't necessarily have to kill any enemies. You could get through that game doing like a pacifist run, and that game was like a huge like that game made me rethink the way that I approach games in general, not just like in terms of like oh, I go into games for violence. Like it was more like, why do I go into this mindset of I have to explore every nook and cranny of this game? Like no matter the consequences, no matter like the narrative vision of the story, like I don't know how to explain it, but like that's a game that like actively judges you for like exploring all of the content in it.
Just what I like in my games.
Yeah. I like a game that's like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? Don't you have anything better to do? And then Lucas Pope is just like this just genius game designer. He designed Papers, Please, if you've heard of that one. It's this game where you are a border inspection like agent, like person, like checking passports and choosing who to let cross the border.
Oh, okay.
Which sounds like terrible. It sounds like a really boring bureaucratic game, but with that simple mechanic of like checking paperwork for like errors and like seeing if stuff is expired or something's like a forgery, and just with that mechanic, it tells like such compelling stories and like puts you into like such like interesting ethical dilemmas. Like somebody will like come with like clean paperwork and they'll be like please be kind to my wife that's coming next, and then the wife comes and like her stuff is expired, and then it's like, please, like if we get separated in the border, like like that guy also did the Return of the Obra Dinn, which is just like this really amazing game where you're an insurance inspector like trying to figure out what happened on this ship that came back empty, he just like comes at games at such like a unique like stance and brings such new mechanics in such an interesting way that I'm always like really compelled by his work. Most games is just like, how many guys can you shoot? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, every once in a while I like to play like Enter the Gungeon. I played a lot of Enter the Gungeon, but but lately I find I only have time for those kind of games. I used to play a whole lot of Dota and Team Fortress 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I loved Team Fortress 2. That was a good one.
Yeah. I've got an embarrassing amount of hours in that game.
All right, well then, other than video games, sounds like that's not your main hobby out of it.
Yeah. I'll play video games like very sparsely nowadays. The thing I like doing the most nowadays, I think, is just listening to like YouTube video essayists which sounds like scary because like that's like a gateway towards like extremism.
Wait, what is it?
YouTube video essays.
Oh, essays. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard SAS is, and I was like, what is
Essayist.
that?
Yeah, but like I really like watching these YouTubes of people like doing like deep dives into media. And I think my favorite right now is CJ the X. I'm not sure what their pronouns are, but like they have like this really awesome video like and breaking down Bo Burnham.
Oh.
And it's like a 2-something hour long thing, but like I'm just obsessed with it and I like rewatch it all the time and I'm like like I love watching like these like different perspectives on like the media that I like listen to or enjoy. And to me it's like analyzing like modern art. Like this is the art of our times, these memes, this cat video, this is the artwork of our times, and these are the people that are analyzing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, GIFs are art now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the same person did like a like video analyzing like their favorite memes, and it's like there is so much like information that is conveyed so quickly in such like in the image with like some subtitles on it. There's so much emotional energy that gets like conveyed in that.
That is fascinating. Huh. I'll have to check out some YouTube essays.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about this was you're a mom.
Oh yeah. I'm a mom.
Yeah, I'm a mom.
Yeah. I've got a kid, and she is such a bundle of energy.
How old?
She's 4 years old. She is so excited to wear her Little Mermaid costume to preschool today.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. For people who don't know, today is Friday before Halloween, so
yeah,
that's when we're recording this. This will come out after Halloween, but
yeah, she woke up and she was like, I get to wear the mermaid costume to school. I was like, yes, honey. She was so excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I've been slowly trying to indoctrinate her into the game world.
Yeah, 4 years old. Can you play much with her?
Not too much. She still has a lot of trouble with grasping the magic circle. She gets like competitive over stuff that's like not even supposed to be competitive, and she gets like it's like honey, this is a cooperative game. It's like, how come you found more like things than me? But yeah, she's getting there. I've gotten her to play this like Richard Scary find and seek game a few times, and she likes Hungry Hippos. All you gotta do is mash a lever on that game.
Yeah. That's like the equivalent of Street Fighter there. It's a button masher.
Yeah. Hungry Hippos, the original button smasher.
There you go. I don't know who does Hasbro make that?
I'm not sure. It sounds like a Hasbro thing.
Does. Whoever makes it, there you go. There's your new slogan for Hungry Hippos.
She's been like really into arts and crafts lately, and I'm like all for that. Because I've been getting into arts and crafts lately. It's like it's fun to like look at stuff and be like, how can I prototype a game with this? And now she's like using the same stuff that I'm playing with to like make like play swords and shields and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes I talk about like we need to have a kid just so that I can have a board game, but a board gaming buddy.
I don't know why I podcast. I get tongue-tied so often.
Yeah, tongue-tied is just a perpetual state for me.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And then I kick myself because I have to edit the video, and I'm like, oh, I sound so stupid. Oh, man. Can I just cut this whole part out?
This is why I don't edit anything, because it would just take me forever, and I hate listening to my voice over and over again.
Yeah, I've learned to ignore my voice. And then today, actually, I was listening to an old episode, and I was like, oh, no, I sound so terrible. This is why I should listen, is so I can figure out those patterns that I keep going to. Like,
Oh, yeah.
with Mick and Starla, I said, I love that so much. And I said that throughout the entire episode because they were so high energy that I felt like I couldn't keep up. And my mind was blinking because they just had such great chemistry and I didn't want to ruin it. And so all I could say was like, I love that so much because I did love it so much.
Oh my god, when somebody points out like your like vocal tick, and then all of a sudden it's like, I say this so much. Oh no.
How do I fix this?
I just said it again.
I told Phil about that for that Mick and Starla episode, and so he sent me a poop emoji every time he heard it while he was listening to the episode. And all of a sudden, the next day, I'm receiving poop emojis, and I'm like, "What is this for?" I completely forgot. He said, "You know why."
Oh my god.
Phil from Organized Fun. If you didn't, people, yeah. Any other hobbies you want to touch on?
Yeah, actually, just yesterday I was like, I need a day to decompress. What are the things I like to do for fun? I like to play video games, or specifically Toby Fox and Lucas Pope video games. I like, God, what was the other thing? Like, I just started recently watching Lower Decks, and that show is like really amazing. Right? I don't even watch a lot of Star Trek. Yeah, but that show is like so good.
Are you through the first season or are you into the second?
I finished the second season.
Oh, man, you're ahead of me then. I was going to start the second today, but I was like, I really need to get an interview in before next week. So I'm doing it with you instead.
Because of the ADHD, I have to have like a constant level of stimulation. So like when I have like really boring chores around, it's like, okay, this is the time that I get to watch Lower Decks.
Nice.
But yeah, and then the last thing is like I'm like amateurish into fashion, which is just a nice way of saying I like buying clothes.
I was totally expecting you to say, like, I sewed this shirt and I made this, like, I make outfits. No, just
no, I just like buying stuff. Yeah, this nice shirt I got for Halloween, but I'm like, I think I'm just gonna wear this regularly, actually.
That is wonderful. I'm going to start saying that about like my board game. I'm a bit of an art connoisseur. That's why I have this shelf of artwork.
Yes.
You mean your board game? Yes. Okay. Let's get this a little higher class around here, all right?
Yeah.
That is a great shirt though. And it fits for your Victorian age costume.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, wow, this is like really cool, and it like doesn't accentuate my shoulders too much. It's like awesome.
But yeah, and it looks like it would be a totally normal, cool shirt to wear anyway.
Yeah. So I'm totally gonna wear this like outside of like Halloween, but like today it's gonna be my costume. I got a mask, and suddenly it's a costume. It's just like Mean Girls, bunny ears. I'm a bunny.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, but if you put the bunny ears on the mask, then that's totally BioShock.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, you're totally right. I could totally do a Bioshock thing if I do that. I had like such ambitions for this costume. I was going to I have this like vision that Persuasion takes place in this like alternate like Victorian age where like not quite steampunk but like neon punk, where like steampunk is like everything is like wood and brass, but like I envision it's more like glass and like silver. Like,
Oh.
and so I like got all this like neon tubing, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this really cool neon. Like, I never had time for any of that crap. So it's just gonna be this and this mask.
Hey, it's a great costume.
Yeah.
You're going as one of your characters from Persuasion.
Yeah, exactly.
I very much so. What am I saying? I really want one day to dress up in full like Victorian era outfits and have a group of people get together and play Persuasion. Do like a YouTube thing. Oh, you could do that online still. Oh man. Okay, I need to get with some YouTube streamers. Let's get this going.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Oh my god, that sounds awesome. Actually, I would love to do that.
Oh, I think that'd be great. Especially like, are you going to put on? It's on Game Crafter, right?
It's not for sale yet because I got my physical copy. I'm like, oh, there's lots of little things that I need to fix.
Oh, okay.
And I also think I could fit into a smaller box. The only reason I put in such a big box was for the contest. And it could actually fit in a smaller box. So
nice.
There's lots of little things I want to tweak before I start letting people buy it. And also, I need to do unguided tests of it because I haven't done any of those. And I don't fit in the box.
Ship shape makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're not planning on doing like Kickstarter. Are you just going to release it through Game Crafter or?
Yeah, I haven't decided. It would be nice to get a publisher, but I think at this point I'm just sort of like, I'm just gonna self-publish it. I have a friend that like that's really into like Victorian sort of sketches, and I've asked her to do some like artwork, and she's been doing some stuff that I was not expecting, but I'm like really into. So I'm thinking that I'm just going to put it on Game Crafter for like people that want to get in on it early, or maybe make a print and play, and then maybe eventually when that artwork is ready, then I'll like actually have it for sale. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Sounds good to me. Whenever you're ready to promote it, we'll do the whole dress up in Victorian era stuff and do a stream. That would be I would love that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm inviting myself to do that. Like, hey, I'm not asking for permission from you, I guess. Whoops.
I would love it anyways.
Oh, ridiculous theme. This is going to be a long episode. Suck it up, people. You've made it this far. Do you have one?
I've been meaning to ask. To you, what makes a game have a ridiculous theme? Because I've seen games about things as ridiculous as like removing vegetables from your deck. Like, so I'm sort of like games that I think are ridiculous themes, like having a fight with your partner, sound like totally legit ideas to me.
Well, I always say that Wingspan was the inspiration for ridiculous theme because it, at first I thought it was like a bird watching game, which it kind of is, but really you're building a habitat, which is a better theme than bird watching. And so my original perception of it was just a bird watching game. What a boring game. What a ridiculous theme. What an amazing game in actuality once I actually played it. But that's what inspired it. So it's like, it doesn't even have to be a bad game or anything, just something you think would be a silly thing. Because Persuasion, by all means, qualifies as a ridiculous theme for me. Like, I would have never thought I would have wanted to play a Victorian era dating game. That sounds ridiculous, and it is so much fun.
Okay, so in terms of ridiculous things, a game that I really want to see made, you probably haven't heard the game Everything. It's this game where you play as like literally everything. You play as like a deer, but you could like start playing as like as an elephant, and then you can start playing as like the grass or an atom or a planet. Like you literally play as anything. As you're playing the game, there'll be lots of little things that'll trigger this I don't know what to call it, this lecture or this dialogue from this person called Alan Watts, and it'll just be all this like really philosophical, like Taoist, Buddhist, like sort of like stuff about how you're one with how you're a part of the universe, like how, like, God, I don't know how to explain this stuff. I'm not like a super smarty brainy person, but like the same way that like an apple grows off of an apple tree, you exist out of like the world, and like, so I would want to make a game that captures the essence of that sort of like philosophy, that you are a piece of this greater universe, that it's not that you exist inside the universe, but that you are the universe.
That is fascinating. Yeah. Was the Beatles, right? You are one and we are one and we are all together, or whatever that is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am one, you are whatever it is. Sorry for slaughtering the Beatles there. But yeah, that's a good theme. I like that. That would be an interesting playground to play with.
Yeah. I have no idea what like the win condition of such a game would be, or that seems like the kind of game where as soon as you try to attach a win condition to it, you would lose. Like,
yeah, right?
It's like, oh, are you trying to create something for your ego to do? You lost.
There's in the Audible adaptation of Sandman, there's this like fight of wits, essentially, where they're saying like, I am a elephant, strong and powerful, and I would trample your ant or whatever. And then they would go like, well, I am a hunter, and they just are like one-upping each other back and forth. And so it almost sounds like that, but in reverse of being like, I am this and I sustain you. I like,
yeah.
We need to work together and make sure we all cohabitate,
yeah.
Keep existence.
Yeah, like it's, God, I'm not articulate or enlightened enough to like properly convey what like this philosophy stuff is about, but just, yeah, I think that would be such an awesome game if it helped people sort of see things in that sort of perspective.
Yeah, that is really interesting. My sister is super duper hippie, which is great. No judgment here. But that sounds like something she would totally be into. And let's call her up right now. No, she would totally have ideas about that, because that's her philosophy. And she's pretty well spoken. She's a lot better spoken than me. I'm like the worst in my family. Everyone's better at whatever they're doing than me. Yeah, I like that idea.
I feel like that's a thing that might exist somehow, someday.
I look forward to you creating it. Mine, I am basing it just off of it's almost persuasion, but just your landing page, your website of doing the dating sim, that old retro dating sim. I think that would be entertaining to have.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it could be like a deck of cards, and it would be like, this is Katie's deck. Like, can you make it through Katie's deck? And
almost choose your own adventure. The thing would come up and you'd read the response, and then the response would say like, "Go to card 32," and then it.
Oh, like a one deck date.
Oh my gosh, one deck date. Oh my gosh, that's the perfect name. It's like slide into Katie's DMs or comment on her posts, on her tweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll slide into her DMs.
When you were describing it, I thought it was going to be something more like Doki Doki Literature Club or something.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know if I should explain it or not, but it's basically a game about a rogue dating simulator.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
But yeah.
There's an episode of Gravity Falls that has like a rogue dating simulator. They're like trying to teach this awkward guy, the weird guy, how to date. And he falls in love with the dating simulator that's actually alive.
Yeah, so a game where you are the dating simulator and somebody else is playing the dating simulator.
Wait. Oh no, that's not even what I was saying, but that's an awesome idea. Oh my god. Oh. That is incredible. You're being courted. Oh my god!
You gotta let the player think that they have a chance, but not let them get to the end of the game, or else they'll turn you off. And
oh no! Some of your responses don't quite match up right to throw them off.
Yeah.
Or they do something really weird. Oh man, these are lots of good ideas. Okay, dating simulator is totally a genre of card games we need made, board games.
Yeah. There are not enough games about exploring romance.
Oh man. I love it. One deck dungeon though. That feels like something realistic that I could make.
Yeah, it totally does.
Now there's just like 30 other ridiculous themes I want to make too. So thanks so much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Nope, that's it for me.
Okay. Why don't we have you plug your stuff? Social media, your website.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Twitter at Red Cheshire Kate. Like Cheshire Cat, except Kate and Red. So Red Cheshire Kate. At Red Cheshire Kate is my Twitter. That's where I'm most vocal. And then if you want to find any of my stuff, if you want to find my games, my selfies, my YouTube streams, my Twitch streams, all that stuff is found on my website, knifebunny.com. There's a section for my personal stuff, which is CheshireKate.com, and then there's section for all my game stuff, which is knifebunny.com, but they link back and forth to each other. So if you go to one, you can find the other.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Katie, for coming on. It's always fun to have a really real conversation, something that might be uncomfortable to talk about, but is important to get the information out there. And I wasn't uncomfortable at all. I hope you weren't. It seemed like we had a lot of fun. So thank you so much for coming on and doing that with me. Before we go to the end stuff, I went on Twitter and asked who/what is your favorite board game character. Also, real quick note, I have been sick this whole week, so there is a good chance I'm not going to edit this end piece, so forgive any roughness. I don't feel well and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time editing it. Suck it up. All right, at Spielmass or Spielmass. Definitely the Kraken or Kraken, whichever you say it, which is missing from Board Game Arena, but available in the first edition and Dark. My significant other will always grab it when playing in real life. That's King of Tokyo, and this is just this huge, shredded, Cthulhu-esque. One hand has a claw, one hand is holding like a shining energy light source. I don't know what it is.
but this thing is hitting the gym every day. It is insane looking, and I like it a lot. Sky Larson at RobTheSky_games. I've played so many games of HeroScape with my friends that the characters hold a lot of meaning and even have inside jokes. Here's my favorite, the dino riding orc Grimnack. He once made a friend vow to never play HeroScape again. And to be clear, I should have said that we even have inside jokes about them. This dinosaur is kind of odd looking. It almost looks eel-esque, like the neck flows and it's like pointing down, and there's this orc riding on top of it with 2 spears, I think. It might be a flag and a spear, or an axe pointing forward, charging. Huzzah! Phil Amelon at Board Game Bike. Lots of great options, but Joan of Arc from Through the Ages has carried me many times. Joan of Arc has such a stern look on this card. It is incredible, but I haven't played the game, so I don't know what this actually means, but here's my translation of it. Her ability or whatever says, your temples and government give you +1 strength for each of their happy faces. So I'm super curious if that means because this card has Joan of Arc, straight-faced. Does that mean other cards that are government or temple cards might have characters on them and they are actually smiling? Is there a government card where the person has a very stern look on their face and that doesn't count? But if they're smiling, you get +1 strength. I don't know. Board Game Hot Takes Podcast, that would be Tim from there, said Greer from Near and Far by Red Raven Game, which is one of my favorite games. I will never say no to playing Near and Far. I love that game so much. And Greer is like this kind of bulky, bronze-esque, I think he's bronze, robot, kind of steampunk-esque feel to him. Maxwell Fraudenthal at Maxwell_Fraud. This guy from Big Book of Madness. Tentacles, check. Incredibly useful ability, check. 10 out of 10, would recommend. His ability, I didn't read this beforehand. During your turn, you can treat 1 value 1 air card as any element of your choice. Okay, yeah. So I actually used this character last time I played Big Book of Madness. I like that game a lot. This character looks really cool. He almost looks kind of like emo-esque goth. They all have a school uniform, so it's like a white button-up shirt with a tie and a blue vest that's like a blue sweater vest with a patch on it, their logo. And he's wielding water in his hands, a ball of water. And then behind him are just a bunch of tentacles. I don't know if that's coming from him. Is he a tentacle man? Maybe. I don't know. Thinkella at Alexia_A_W, Wheelbarrow/Monopoly. Of course, a classic. I mean, I'm more of a top hat, but that's because I'm a fancy boy. Whatever. Organized Fun, that's Phil, at Fun Organized with an S because they're from across the pond. Mark Harrigan from most of the Arkham games. Just look at the pose. Badass. He does, and I think very classic detective noir look, but to me looks just like John Constantine, which isn't a bad thing because John Constantine is just like a twist on classic detective noir, but hunts demons, and I'm guessing so does Mark Harrigan. I can't remember if I've played as him, or I don't know. I just ordered Arkham Horror LCG. I hope he's in the base game. I'm very excited to receive that. All right. Patrick Blindauer at PB Lindauer, Lindauer. Strange. The thing that pops into my head, Captain Fish from King of Tokyo, which is I don't know what it is inside there. It's got to be some sort of fish with like a bubble or to me, it looks like a big ball with water in it so that the fish can survive. But it's also like walking like in a mechanized suit. I don't know. Looks really interesting. Sentient board game souls. We are old school. Red Meeple, Carcassonne. And I mean, Red Meeple, you know what that is. But they have a fourth wall breaking, kind of like a TV set would be, where they've done Carcassonne tiles and 3 of them are standing up to create a room, and then it's open. The fourth wall is open, and there's another tile on the ground, and the Red Meeple is on there with googly eyes. It's a wonderful thing. Katie, who you just heard, she said, this mouse from Root's League of Adventurous Mice card. If you read this on stream, make sure to detail this mouse in excruciating detail. Okay, here we go. All right. This mouse is on a tree stump, and it has, with its right hand, it is bearing a pitchfork above its head. In the left hand, holding a torch, mouth agape, eyes wide. You can tell it is giving a rousing speech to looks like a gang of other mice that have swords and spears and torches, and it seems to be rallying them, maybe to go fight a monster, maybe to end a war, or maybe he's trying to stop him. I actually don't know, but I think it looks like he's getting ready for like a monster hunt or ward off like an invading force. Or she, I don't know what the mouse is. I'm sorry if I misgendered them. All games new and old. At all games new and old, the letter N. Jenny Barnes from Arkham Horror. She's classy, tough, and is rich enough to make it rain all over Arkham. She does look very badass. She's got 2 guns, pearl necklace, blue dress. It looks like her dress might actually have like sequins on it. Big blue hat. And my favorite part is her like quote on the card says, I'm happy to throw money at the problem, and if that doesn't work, I shall throw something else. Carl at N20 Games, it has recently become Dumpling, the cat from the Fort expansion. I had to look up what that was, but I looked it up, and it is a very chubby white cat. I mean, this thing's got rolls on its legs, rolls on its body. I'm surprised it doesn't have like multiple chins, but it is quite the adorable cat. And it makes you pay like an additional food or something to appease it. Oh man, I like this next one. John Moffat at John Texmo said, Mayor Van Damage from Streets of Steel. I had to look up what that was. I'm kind of familiar with Streets of Steel, but I didn't know the character. And this dude is like this super jacked, ripped black man that to me looks a lot like J. Jonah Jameson if he was a super ripped black man. And it is quite epic. John Wood said Rektar, the button shy monster, is as seen in both Super Tall and Sprawlopolis. Give them more games to smash and crush in. So it is a blue. If you know what Reptar is from Rugrats, it's like a blue version of that breathes fire, from what I can tell. And it is quite magnificent in all of its glory. Let's see. I think that is everything. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review, share it with your friends. You can at me at Nerd Out With Us. You can email me, The Board Game Community Show. There's all of this information about Katie, about me, about ProtoCON, which is an in-person event where you get to play test games. And that is happening January 28th and 29th. Their tickets are on sale. It's like $5 to come as an attendee. Kids get in free, so it can be a great family event. You can bring your whole family. Bring your grandma. There's lots of great games there. Let's see. There's also Kickstarters. The Aaron and Paige Treglon have their Faction Fighters. That's still going on. And then Jess Metheringham has Descent Games. It's like a Christmas card. Oh no, now I can't remember what it's called. But it's essentially a game that it's like a roll and color game that fits on a postcard. So perfect. I think that they even can deliver in time for the holidays. So go look that up. I wish that I remembered what it was called. But Christmas card roll and color game by Descent Games. But that only has like 2 days. So if you're listening to it, don't put it off. Go and look now. It's pretty affordable too. And I think she has something with charity. Like for every game purchase, she does something charitable, which is very like holiday spirit. So wonderful. All right. That is it. That's me done. Until next week, keep nerding out.